In this Club Random podcast summary between Bill Maher and Jim Gaffigan, both popular comedians, a myriad of topics were covered, starting from an unexpected comparison of filmmakers Paul Thomas Anderson and Wes Anderson. Maher confesses he's unaware of the differences, and Gaffigan quips about his struggle to remember another Anderson in the film industry. The conversation then transitions to a poignant observation about the recent deaths of well-known comedians like Bob Saget, Norman Macdonald, attracting genuine sympathy from both guests. Further probing into the theme of comedy, the conversation revolves around the nature of comedic intelligence and how it's not a prerequisite for success in the profession. This leads to a debate about whether comedians, like musicians, hone their talent simply for the attention and admiration it earns them. The two comedians discuss the transformative power of success and its impact on the way one is treated. They shrewdly note that unlike musicians who appeal directly to people's emotions, comedians must engage their audience's minds. There's a notably humorous exchange about childhood dreams of grandeur, with Maher sharing an amusing anecdote about his 12-year-old self imagining hosting a talk show in a backyard tent to attract girls. This sparks a deeper conversation on the motives behind pursuing the profession, with Maher pointing out that it was his father's humorous nature that led him to want to emulate the same characteristic. Shifting gears, they discuss the perception of marital issues from the perspective of both a single comedian and a married one. Maher, who is single, admits that he doesn't feel authorized to make fun of marriage, while Gaffigan, a married man, articulates how his marital experience only enriches his act. Throughout the conversation, both Maher and Gaffigan cleverly employ humor to glean insights from their profession and personal lives, dipping in and out of serious and light-hearted tones. The segment concludes with a discussion on the societal judgment endured by people, including a couple of politicians who have been married multiple times. Overall, the conversation is a roller coaster of fun, deep insights, and poignant realizations. Delving deeper into their intriguing conversation, Maher and Gaffigan discuss the intriguing phenomenon of individuals who marry the same person multiple times. They jest about relationships and rekindling romances, and Maher elevates the conversation with a thoughtful query about people who constantly seek companionship due to childhood abandonment issues. The conversation then takes a whimsical tangent, with Maher articulating his Pottery Barn rule concerning marriages. You break it, you bought it. They reflect on different situations with grace and humor, discussing Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage, Edward VIII's abdication, and the allure of royals like the Kardashians. The conversation swiftly transitions into an engrossing discussion about the late-night show industry amidst ongoing writers' strikes. They examine the unique premise of Maher's Real Time contrasted with the traditional talk show format. Gaffigan praises Maher's show for gracefully riding out the waves of strike, while Maher expresses surprises that the traditional late-night show model has managed to sustain itself. They discuss the emergence of streaming platforms and how this impacts the traditional late-night landscape. Maher notes how the present age allows anyone to access entertainment from multiple platforms at any given time, making the traditional format seem anachronistic. The conversation drifts towards the relationship between writers and the show's success, with the duo agreeing that the ongoing strike and the changing times necessitates a recalibration of compensation for writers. Temporary digression aside, Maher and Gaffigan return to analyzing celebrity relationships, spotlighting the challenges brought about by the highly speculated Harry and Meghan, Queen Elizabeth's chemically fueled uncle, and even their humorous take on Charles and Camilla. The duo also juggles popular topics like the Kardashian family's influence and the reality of their luck versus talent debate. After poking fun at themselves and sharing a memorable joke about Armenians being the Jews of the Caucasus, they revisit their discussion surrounding late-night TV and its affected industry in the face of an ongoing writers' strike and rapidly changing media landscapes. Throughout their conversation, Maher and Gaffigan weave humor, wit, and insightful commentary, offering unique perspectives on topics ranging from marriages to late-night television structures in an era of streaming and digital evolution. The duo dives deep into the complexity of these experiences, dissecting them with a clever balance of light-hearted humor and thoughtful analysis. It's clear throughout their engaging discourse that both Maher and Gaffigan share a deep respect and understanding for the evolving media landscape. particularly the world of late-night television. Despite the humorous quip about shows being their side pieces, the pair conveys the underlying truth that these platforms, like Amazon and Apple, are invested in their success both financially and for prestige. They're keen to be noticed at award ceremonies and want to produce quality television that attracts viewers to endlessly gaze at screens. As they delve into the impact of technological advancements, Maher makes an apt comparison. Networks are much like dinosaurs suing the Ice Age. As technology advances and audiences' consumption habits change, traditional platforms are scrambling to keep up and adapt. In these talks, the duo uses the writers' strike situation as an illustrative example. When the first writers' strike occurred, reality television emerged, leading to more job losses. Now they're on strike against streaming platforms that, laden with content backlogs, see no urgency to resolve the issue. The discussion proceeds with their consideration of how and when this strike might affect the viewers. Maher questions its impact on regular television consumption, echoing Scott Galloway's views on the insignificant changes noticed by the audience, hence indicating the writers' diminished leverage. They ponder on the unknown day when platforms like Netflix exhaust their content reserves and the need to renegotiate with writers arises. This brings the conversation to a fascinating point, with Gaffigan subtly speculating about Gavin Newsom's potential presidential run. The dialogue provides an enlightening historical outlook at the same time, recounting the fight for gay rights and Newsom's involvement as mayor of San Francisco. The podcast takes a casual respite as Maher and Gaffigan unpack their personal experiences and thoughts about living in New York. Gaffigan provides the listeners an insight into the dichotomous life of New York City, where he's highly successful yet barely recognized. The conversation then ebbs towards Maher's and Gaffigan's initial years in comedy, their dreams and their objectives. Maher reminisces about his early comedic influences, notably the Smothers Brothers. This reflection sparks Gaffigan's thought about people getting the bug for comedy, yet not pursuing it professionally. They even jocularly rank Maher as only the third funniest in his family. Their nuanced respect for comedy permeates the conversation as it shifts to Gaffigan's ongoing collaboration with Jerry Seinfeld. Explaining that the joint shows aren't about ticket sales, but the joy and mutual interest of discussing comedy, Gaffigan alludes to Seinfeld being the comedy Socrates. They honor the living legend's profound influence and consistently successful career while sharing their own perspectives on the craft of joke writing, thus rendering an intimate insight into the comedy fraternity. In this portion of the Club Random podcast, the conversation between Bill Maher and Jim Gaffigan takes several engaging turns. They laud the virtues of comedic greats like Jerry Seinfeld and Leno, underscoring their maturity and professional integrity and noting their roles as role models in the field of comedy. Gaffigan uses an amusing analogy to describe Seinfeld as a robot who never gets emotionally distracted. Throughout the conversation, they illuminate the perpetual relevance of acclaimed comedians like Chris Rock, recognizing Rock's ability to adjust and recalibrate to the ever-evolving zeitgeist. The profoundly human aspect of Jerry Seinfeld also gets a nod of admiration as they highlight his ability to maintain a consistent humorous persona across forums, broadcasting a curmudgeonly persona even on his coffee show. Staying on the theme of evolution, the discussion steers towards Gaffigan's touring schedule and preferences for venue sizes, revealing a comedic world revolving around repetitions and adjustments. The importance of maintaining an engaging atmosphere without turning controversial for the sake of being controversial is stressed upon. In their discourse, they also explore insights into the world of acting. Gaffigan, who Maher applauds for his acting skills, speaks about his dedicated approach on set. Citing his own experience, Gaffigan affirms the importance of being a soldier on set, which aligns with Maher's ideal attitude towards writers for his show, pitching ideas yet not throwing fits when they aren't picked. They then delve into the writer's strike situation again, criticizing the demands for a fixed number of writers in every room. Both Maher and Gaffigan emphasize on the importance of creative freedom in producing any form of art and exhibit concern over unnecessary micromanaging spoiling it. Maher points out HBO's success as a proof of their belief, commending its hands-off approach with its creative teams. This discussion also leads to the acknowledgement of hit-and-miss scenario in all creative processes, touching upon HBO's successful and failed shows like John from Cincinnati and Hung. On a lighter note, Maher teases Gaffigan about living in the East Village, which is supposedly filled with hippies, leading to a humorous banter between the two. The conversation ends on a rather jovial note, with Maher sharing the most memorable anecdote of a guest on his show, listing Richard Dreyfuss's semi-horizontal interview due to a back issue. In a candid exchange, Bill Maher expresses a desire to visit Jim Gaffigan in Greenwich Village, curious to immerse himself in Gaffigan's familial chaos for a day. Given Gaffigan's broad spectrum of fatherhood, ranging from a 10-year-old to a 19-year-old, Maher humorously suggests he might want to sleep in Gaffigan's bed to fully experience his lifestyle, leading to a laughing comparison to Michael Jackson. This sparks an engaging musing on whether they've taken the right path in life. Their conversation transitions into an amusing proposal of doing a Freaky Friday experience. They envision a life swap, a popular trope in TV and movies where two diametrically opposite people exchange their lives. In this case, child-free Maher and father of 5, Gaffigan. The dichotomy between their lifestyles seems to make this scenario even more appealing to them. The interesting tangent leads to a playful, speculative scenario where Maher misses his marijuana while Gaffigan yearns for his kids, thereby validating their life choices. The talk continues on to Maher's past endeavor of hosting a show in Hawaii. Starting from being advised against the prospective dead market, Maher shares his triumphant journey of creating demand where there was none. However, the success led to an increase in competition, making the venture less appealing to him and causing him to put the Hawaiian gig on hold. Gaffigan grabs this as an opportunity to jestingly suggest alternatives like hosting the show in April, in Tahiti, or even Mexico. He further heightens the humor by offering to take care of Gaffigan's kids while Maher and his wife get a romantic night. In a contrasting tone, Gaffigan ends the conversation saying that he'd rather be not the third wheel during Sharon's and off-screen reference time. Check out the full podcast by clicking the link in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for listening to this podcast summary episode of The Pod Slice